Let's get to the first Jurassic World film, which is Jurassic World from 2015. It's directed by Colin Trevorrow, stars Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Ty Simpkins, Judy Greer, Vincent D'Onofrio, and the synopsis is: a new theme park built on the original site of Jurassic Park creates a genetically modified hybrid dinosaur, the Indominus Rex, which escapes containment and goes on a killing spree. First thing, I will do the original Jurassic Park trilogy at some point, but I feel like those have been kind of talked to death, and the world films, I think, a little bit more to say, maybe that's newer, a little bit more fresh. Like many, I am a sucker for dinosaurs and dinosaur monster movies. Jurassic Park still has complete reign over that genre, and considering how well Rebirth did financially, I'm sure that there will be more. As for the first Jurassic World, though, the hype was big when this one was getting ready to be released. It had been so long since there had been any Jurassic Park movies, and I still think, having seen this one a good handful of times, it's still pretty solid. One major criticism that has not gotten better at all on rewatches, and I've talked about my dislike for Chris Pratt over the last 10 years or so, 9 times out of 10, his character is truly one of the most boring action heroes, maybe of all time. He's kind of like Indiana Jones, then he's kind of a pretty boy, then he's also sort of a straightforward action beat-em-up hero, and there is never anything learned about him. There's never quiet moments of him telling stories about his past, or him running into old friends who talk about what he used to do, like, ooh, like, man, that must have been a crazy life, or maybe he did some really great things or some really bad things. Maybe add some more mystery and moral ambiguity to this guy. And I don't totally blame him, but his performance is very much one note. It's this singular scowl that he does where his face is kind of scrunched up. He brings his eyebrows down to his eyes, and it's either him thinking, yeah, or whoa. So every reaction shot that they cut back to him for doesn't work at all. I don't even totally understand his job. I guess he's just a dinosaur wrangler. But at least Bryce Dallas Howard, who I've always liked her, she is a lot more grounded and charming and fun. But their on and off weird romance does not work either. Anyways, getting back to the first film specifically, so it starts off with these two kids, a teenage brother and then a younger brother, who their parents send them off to Jurassic World because Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Claire, is the mom's sister, and she's supposed to look after them. She doesn't really want to, and she's kind of busy as well. And then the kids are, for the most part, left to themselves. Firstly, no kid, no teenage boy, I don't see how could ever be bored going to a park where there are live dinosaurs. Like, the older brother is like, this is so lame. I'm just going to talk to girls on my phone. Later on, after that, I think, even though they have all these security measures, they let anyone, kids, adults, go in these little moving pods where they can roam the park by themselves with no supervision. There's no tracks for them to follow. And you know, in reality, that would be not only very unsafe, but that would be very dangerous to the dinosaurs, because with how the world is just getting stupider and more assholes, you know there would be people like, oh, let's mess with the dinosaurs. Let's bump into them. Let's hit them. Let's get out of the pod and do this. There was also the social media sensation of Chris Pratt's action stance when he was trying to control these 3 dinosaurs, and people mimicked that, which was so stupid. Within that little sequence, there's the introduction of Vincent D'Onofrio. He wants to weaponize the dinosaurs, and that's a recurring theme throughout these movies. By far the best part of the film is the breakout from the pterodactyl or just flying dinosaur facility, and they start flying towards the main park and causing total chaos, picking people up. There's the totally insane, needlessly brutal death of the assistant who was supposed to be helping watch over the two kids, and she gets picked up, thrown in the water tank, picked up again, and then eaten by the big aquatic dinosaur. Cool to watch, but of all the people in this movie, maybe not the one that deserves it the most. Jake Johnson has a small part in this. He's pretty much just Jake Johnson. One cringe scene is the one when Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are out in the woods, and she rolls up her sleeves and pulls up her blouse to, I guess, say that she's ready for action. She can do anything. The night sequences when Chris Pratt and the other gunmen are trying to round up and or kill the escaped dinosaurs, and when the raptors are chasing after the truck, the final fight with the Rex. Good score by Michael Giacchino, as always. 4 out of 5. Let's get to the second Jurassic World film, which is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Came out in 2018, directed by J.A. Bayona. Stars basically the same cast as well as Rafe Spall, Justice Smith, Daniela Pineda, James Cromwell, Ted Levine, Toby Jones, Jeff Goldblum. And the synopsis is, when the island's dormant volcano begins roaring to life, Owen and Claire mount a campaign to rescue the remaining dinosaurs from this extinction-level event. I only got around to watching this one a couple years after it came out and have seen it a few times. I think it's fine. It's not amazing, and it's a step down from the first one. The director, J.A. Bayona, who's done a lot of mostly indie stuff, like he did Society of the Snow, which was great, The Impossible, A Monster Calls, very interesting filmmaker. I think he directs this one better than Trevorrow does with 1 or 3. And cinematography-wise, it looks the best of the 3. Really good use of darkness and shadows. The landscape locations look great. What would be the biggest disappointment, the volcano island destruction, is only the first half. Talking about the writing really quick, my least favorite kind of character is the one played by Justice Smith, who's this scaredy cat, nervous talker, analyst or tracker or something who goes along with them. He easily could be cut from this narrative and lose nothing. So whenever something crazy is going on, he's always yelling, "Am I gonna die? Can I do this? I need to go home. I want my mom." Like, it's just so awful. And I know those people exist, but it's too frequent in films like this to feel genuine. Rafe Spall's character, who he pretty much always plays bad guys, and he plays it well. He comes across as the do-gooder at first who wants to pay respect to this grandfather's or father's legacy, but secretly he wants to sell off all these newly created dinosaurs for money and just get rich. One confusing thing, and maybe it's not widespread, but at least on Letterboxd, there are a lot of positive reviews that say, "I love how the second half of this movie turns into a haunted house horror film." In all the times I've seen this, I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the third act is a haunted house film when Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are moving around when this one dinosaur escapes. But the majority of the second half, the first part, not much is happening. There's the auction stuff. And then the last 10-15 minutes of the third act is a fight on top of the house and then dealing with this gas leak and escape from the other dinosaurs. So I think that is a total exaggeration. Ted Levine is another great actor who can play a really good villain, and he plays this mercenary, gun for hire sort of guy. But thankfully, him, Spall, and all the bad guys do get their due justice. And I do appreciate, even though it's not that deep, and I think it's partly Steven Spielberg's influence on these films of the protection of animals and how best to help these animals is not us going into their environment and trying to protect them, it's our absence. 9 times out of 10, in the real world, that's the best way to help. The twist with the young girl, and she was like the dinosaurs recreated through some kind of gene pool, is pretty absurd. And I think all in all, that didn't need to be there, didn't add much at all to a commentary level. This one does have maybe a few too many callbacks to the originals. They all do, but even from the opening scene, just felt like, okay, I'm watching the original Jurassic Park all over again. 3 out of 5. All right, let's get to Jurassic World Dominion. Came out in 2022, directed by Colin Trevorrow, stars Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, DeWanda Wise. And the synopsis is, 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, Biosyn operatives attempt to track down Maisie Lockwood, while Dr. Ellie Sattler investigates a genetically engineered swarm of giant insects. This would be my least favorite, not by a huge margin, but more than anything, it is needlessly long. 1, 2, and 4 are all around 2 hours. This is almost 2.5, and then the extended cut, which I think is inferior to the theatrical, is 240. It just takes so long to get going. There's so many characters. You have to set up the OG ones, who I like to see, but they have their own storyline. And what bogs it down the most is this absurd storyline with the daughter who is kidnapped by these poachers. So Owen and Claire have to go to Malta. There was some good action then, like the dinos chasing the truck and the motorcycle and the plane trying to take off. That was good, but a few too many nods to and or ripoffs to Jason Bourne and other spy films. I like the initial setup of, in Fallen Kingdom, the dinosaurs got out, so now there's just dinosaurs in the world, in the public world. And some people see them as good things and they want to protect them. Others see them as a nuisance and a danger. But everything with the locusts, I liked the idea of that and the visual of that, but felt kind of extraneous. The visuals of dinosaurs in snow, Jeff Goldblum, who's always great to see in anything, he's become like a spokesman for the dangers of dinosaurs being recreated. The final fight between the dinosaurs, and before that, Bryce Dallas Howard getting kind of lost out in the jungle and having to flee and hide from dinosaurs tracking her. The villain, though, the guy who's running this gene operation, is basically the same thing from Fallen Kingdom, so that's repetitive. Visually, I found it kind of bland, and even some of the CGI on the dinosaurs looked a little fuzzy. The initial sequence when Claire is trying to break out the dinosaur from that breeding facility, but I wish they had not brought back Justice Smith. He's not in it that much, thankfully. I don't really understand why some people really hate Colin Trevorrow. I read so many reviews saying this guy is the absolute worst. He's a terrible director. I think of all the franchises out there and how some have been handled, this is by far one of the least offensive. And at least to me, he made the best one in this trilogy. 2.5 out of 5.